Dear friends, welcome to another video from Vishnu Mantra. Thank you very much for watching the video series. If you didn't subscribe the channel, kindly subscribe the channel. In our last video, we have discussed regarding Selenium controls. In this video, we will be discussing regarding XPath. The relevance of XPath comes when you are not able to identify the Selenium controls using the basic controls. Find by ID, name, link text, etc. we saw in our last session. But there are cases in which these basic controls are not enough in order to identify an element, and also there may be cases there won't be any unique control available, and we may have to combine the properties of the web element in order to find it. So XPath will help us to achieve all those things. In this video, we will see how XPath helping us with that. We will detail regarding different types of XPaths like absolute XPath, relative XPath, difference between the two, and also we will see XPath functions. Then we will detail regarding XPath access, where we will see the relationship between different DOM structures and how to navigate through the DOM structure. Let's start our session now. In order to identify the element using XPath, we will be using the DOM structure and we will be finding the path. We will traverse through the DOM structure and we will find the path, which is a unique identifier for that particular element. The basic format for XPath is there will be / followed by a tag name, and then we can see the attribute name and the attribute value. So this is the basic format. Okay, there are different ways by which we can construct the XPath, but the basic format will be like this. So let's move into the types of XPaths. The first one is absolute XPath. The absolute XPath starts with a root node or a /. So whenever we construct XPath using absolute XPath, we will start with a slash. So the relevance of absolute XPath is that we will be traversing through the DOM structure starting from the root. Means we will start from the beginning of the DOM structure and we will go to the elements one another, and we will even drill down to the parent as well as the child elements, and then we will find the particular element whichever we want to find. So before getting deeper into absolute XPath, I will just show you what is a relative XPath as well. So the relative XPath starts with / and it can search anywhere in the web page. Okay, so now we will just compare between absolute XPath and relative XPath in order to understand it correctly. So I can give you a practical example. Suppose if you want to send a letter from London to some person who is in India, how we will do? So we will provide with the address, right? The address will contain the country name, then the state name, then the district name, maybe sub-district. After that there will be village or maybe the city, then followed by the street number, then the house number and the person name, right? So this way, then what happens? The post will come to the country first, then it will go directly following the route. So absolute XPath is something like that. Starting from the root, it will traverse through the entire path and find the element. And when it comes to relative XPath, what happens? We will simply tell that this person belongs to this particular district in India, and his street number is this, and his house name is this, and his name is this. So what happens? At that point of time, it has to go and search every district within India, right? So it has to go first search with every state, and within every state it has to go and search within every district and sub-district to see whether that person is there. At a particular point of time, when it finds that there is a person with that unique identity, it will stop there. So now I think you might have clearly understood how absolute XPath and relative XPath works. The difference is very easier to understand. One is very fast. Absolute XPath, if you mention, it is very fast. And relative XPath, what happens? It will be slower compared to absolute XPath. Okay, but other thing is that when it comes to our practical scenario where we will be having the HTML structure, if the developer is going to make any change in the web page and if he is going to break the path, then absolute XPath won't work. Okay, but relative XPath, it is some sort of independent while considering absolute XPath. Okay, now let's look into our browser and try to understand both of this. I have just opened up Google Chrome and I navigated to Mercury Tools, which we will use for our testing purpose. And here, let's try to understand how to identify the absolute XPath. I'm going to click on F12 on my keyboard. Then I'm going to inspect this particular element. Okay, so in order to get the absolute XPath of this particular element, I'm going to right click, going to copy, and going to click on copy full XPath. Okay, and if I click Ctrl F to paste it here, you can see the absolute XPath. Okay, and the XPath is starting from the root. Okay, so if I go to the DOM structure, here you can see starting from the HTML, it is telling where our element resides. Okay, you can first see HTML, then followed by body. Okay, here also you can see that. Then there is div. Okay, so HTML, then it comes to body, and within the body it is coming to the div. Okay, and within the div it is coming to table. Likewise, it is traversing through this entire structure one by one, and it is coming to this particular element. Okay, this is how the absolute XPath works. And you can see a / everywhere, and that means to come to the immediate element. Okay, and everywhere we are using /. So this particular element, if we try to identify using relative XPath, it will be like we will be having / first, means it will go and search everywhere inside this DOM structure, and then we will give our tag name. So what was our tag name? That is A. And after the tag name we will have square bracket. If you see here, we will try to identify it using the text called support. So last time we used link text, right? So likewise in XPath also we can construct using the link text. So how we have to do is like we have to put our text attribute followed by bracket and then equals, then in single quotes you have to give the value. So be careful to give as exactly as inside the DOM structure, because this is case sensitive. And you can see that it got highlighted, so it is identifying, you can see 1 of 1. Okay, so it's uniquely identifying this particular path. Okay, now if it is anything other than text, if there is any attribute, for example if you want to use href, what we have to do is like we have to put an @ symbol. Text alone we don't have to put @ symbol. For anything else we have to put a @ symbol, so it becomes @href. Then we don't have the brackets here, we have to put @href equals, in single quotes you can give the attribute value. So this is the attribute value and we can give it here instead of support. Okay, but that should be unique. So I have just copied this particular thing, and you can see 1 of 8 means at 8 different places it is repeating, so we can't make it as a unique control and we can't use that. Okay, so this is how the relative XPath work. Now we will go to our Visual Studio screen and we will try to use this particular. I'm having Visual Studio opened up now. This is a basic and unit project. You can see that I am having reference to Selenium as well as Chrome driver. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to navigate to this URL. Then I'm having maximize window code given. Next thing is like I'm going to put driver dot find element. Inside that I'm going to type by dot XPath. Okay, I'm giving by dot XPath, and within double quotes I'm going to give our XPath. Okay, and I will give dot click. Now let's try running this script and see whether it is working or not. So I'm just running the script now. Build got succeeded. You can see that the build got succeeded, and the browser now popped up. It is navigating to Mercury Tools and it clicked on support. Okay, in a fraction of a second it clicked on support. We were not able to see that, so I'm just going to put a wait here. Thread of sleep. Okay, I'm going to wait 3 seconds before clicking on the button. I'm running now. Now the browser popped up and it launched the website. Okay, again clicked on the support after waiting for some time. Friends, now we can see different ways by which we can construct XPath. I'm not going to cover all different types of XPath, but which are relevant and useful in our daily automation. I'm only going to cover that now. I have now navigated to facebook.com. I'm going to click F12 and going to inspect the email or phone number field. Okay, now suppose if you want to have this box identified using the type equals email, how we will construct the XPath. If I click Ctrl F and start with double slash, then I can give input, and in square bracket I can give at. Okay, then what I will give type, which is my attribute name, and equals, in single quotes I can give email. Okay, so you can see that it is uniquely identifying, one of one, and it is uniquely identifying. Okay, now suppose if you want to identify this forgotten account, okay, we can use something called contains. So it is similar to our partial text. So in our previous example we saw to take inner text we can use text keyword. So how we will construct that? We will have the tag name called a, then we have to have this inside contains in order to use it partially, and then followed by our text keyword and the value. Okay, so how we will do that? We will have double slash a, then the square bracket, within that we can give contains, okay, then a bracket, inside the bracket we have to give text, okay, again a bracket, then comma, then in single quotes we have to give our partial text. Okay, you can see that it is identifying it. Did you see this? Okay, so you can give this partial text and identify this control. A practical example where we can use it is like, suppose in our application, whenever we log in, if there is a welcome text called welcome the username, okay, welcome followed by the username, then we can have this in place, right? Because we don't know what is going to be the username each time. So we can just see whether the welcome is coming, or we can even pass dynamically the value of the username and see whether it is getting appended. Okay, we will understand about dynamic XPath later on. I hope this is clear. Now for attributes also we can do the same. For example, if you want to give only a part of this, for example, if this is the class, we want to give only a part of it, we can do that as well. Okay, so how we will do, double slash input, which is our tag name, followed by square bracket. Okay, and we want to give only a part of this, right? So we will copy this, we will give contains, then in bracket. Okay, now we have to give our attribute name, so we will put at, our attribute name is class, okay, then comma followed by our text. Okay, so here I have given it completely, you can also give partially. Okay, that way also it will work. See, but there are two elements with the same attribute. When we give it partially, see, two are there, so it won't work. But there is something which comes handy here, which is indexing. So we can just index this. If I put a bracket to this entire XPath, and I can just mention in bracket the index number. So I can just simply mention 1, means the first one. So I'm indexing it, and it is pointing to the first text tag name. And then I'm having something called role equals single quotes presentation, right? So I will just copy this thing and we'll paste it here. Okay, now suppose if I want to identify the second tier, if I want to go to the second tier, how I will give? I can just give slash, means immediate element, and the tier. Okay, so immediate, there is no tier, so immediate to that is tbody. So what I have to give? Tbody. Okay, so it came to the immediate one. Okay, then so I told you, like, single slash means it is the immediate element. Okay, immediate element within the for the parent, which is the immediate element, it will come to the, so slash means it's a immediate element. Then tbody, then what we can give? We can give slash tr. Okay, so now we want, if you want to go to the first tier, what we can do? We can index it. We can index it as 1. So it will go to the first tier. Okay, if I expand the first tier, I can see again a td. So I can just put slash then followed by td. So it will come to the next td, and within the td I can see label. So what I should do, I can put slash label. Okay, so it will come to two of them. Okay, and within the label I can simply tell, I can put a bracket and tell at 4 equals email. Okay, see, this way also I came to this particular element. So there are different ways by which we can come to an element. We can also combine. For example, if I come back to this email, see here we can see email, right? And then I can see name is equal to email. So if I want to use both this attribute, I can use that as well. So for that, what we have to do is like, so in order to find that, what we can do is like, we can put double slash, then input, then in brackets I can give at type equals single quotes email, and then I have to put and then at name equals email itself, right? See, we are now using two attributes in order to find this element uniquely, right? We can also use OR. If you want to use OR, we can use construct using OR as well. Or what we can do is like, we can simply close this bracket and we can open up another bracket. Okay, this way also it will uniquely identify this particular element. Okay, so now what we saw contains, then we saw how to iterate through the structure with slash, forward slash. Okay, and now what else we saw? We saw how to combine two attributes and use find a element. Okay, now something else that we can look is like chain text path. Okay, suppose if you want to come from one parent and we don't want to go to the immediate elements, and if you want to go a subchild, okay, how we will do that? Okay, I can tell you an example. So if we take this itself, okay, you can see that it is inside a td. Okay, there is a tbody and there is a div. Okay, suppose if we want to come to this div and we don't want to go to form, and then we don't want to come to table, and we don't want to come to td. Suppose if we want to come first to this particular div, and then if you want to straight away go to here, how we will do that? We can do that as well. So we'll see how to do that. So in order to do that, what we have to do is like, we have to change the XPath. Okay, so we will just copy this thing. Okay, double slash, double slash, then we will have at div, then we will have it, and then we will have that particular attribute equals, in single quotes, we will give the attribute name. Okay, so this is the attribute name. Okay, I'm giving the attribute name. Then what I want to do, I don't want to come to this immediate element, I want to go to some inner element. Okay, if I want to, suppose if I want to come to this td, or suppose if I want to come to this input and this element, what we have to do, we can simply put double slash, double forward slash, then input, and inside that we can give at type equals email. See, this way also we can come, we don't have to traverse through this entire path. So you might be wondering, like, we were able to uniquely identify it using simply having tag name as well as the attribute, but why we want to do all these things? Because at times what happens is like, there may be cases where one parent will have this element with the following attributes, and another parent will have the same element with the similar attributes. So we won't find anything unique if we try to use this basic components. So we may have to first go to the parent and then we have to come here rather than straight away coming here. Okay, these sort of scenarios will appear in your automation and you can use this. So I hope you might have got an understanding regarding how the XPath, absolute XPath work. Try to do as much as exercise as possible. You can only learn automation by practice. Okay, now we will go to our next topic, which is XPath access. You can now see the XPath access. So I'm also not going to take you through all the type of XPath access. We only will look into some of the important ones, and that will help you in your automation career very much. So if you see here, I'm having something called following sibling, preceding sibling, child and parent. Okay, so these are also XPath access, which will help you to traverse through the HTML DOM structure. So if you see here, you can see following means contains all nodes which occur after the context node. Okay, so which is our current node, whichever all the nodes happening after that, then we can use following. Okay, so whenever we use following, that means it won't have any of its descendants. Okay, it won't have any of its child. Okay, so if you take the example of following sibling, means it will select all siblings after the current node. Okay, we'll see an example. Suppose if we want to go to this particular element referring this particular one, how we will do that? In order to achieve that, what we have to do is like we can have this class name, we can have this class followed by this attribute, then we can give following sibling, because if you see here, this div is having this as the sibling. Okay, for this particular div it is having two child, and for this child this is the sibling. So if you want to come to this sibling, what we have to do, we can use following. So this will be very useful. Suppose if you are having something dynamically changing, and if you have something to refer, then you can use this particular way. Okay, for example, if there is a HTML table where one column is dynamically changing, but if there is another column which is static, then if you want to refer this second column, okay, and a particular cell within that column, how you can do that? You can just refer. Okay, you can refer using the first cell value which is static, and you can refer this second one. This sort of things quite often come in your daily automation. We won't get into detailed examples now, but we will definitely see those sort of things in our later sessions. But just understand that if you want to come here without referring anything within this particular class, and if you want to use this as our reference point, then we can use following sibling. So I will just copy paste one XPath which I constructed. So if you see here, you can see div. Okay, I'm starting from /div. Div is my tag name. Then I am having the attribute called class, and inside the class I am having the class name. Then after that I am having something called following sibling after slash. So after slash I am giving following sibling, and then I have something called scope resolution. Then I am having div. Okay, followed by scope resolution. So it will point to the next sibling. Okay, suppose if you want to go vice versa, like you have this particular element and you want to go to this particular one, how we can do that? We can have something called preceding. Okay, and we can give some reference here which are available here. So in order to do that, I will just take this class name, class attribute, and then I will use it here, and I will try to refer this particular one from this one. Okay, so I am here changing it as to preceding. Okay, and I am going to copy this class name and I am going to paste it here. See, it went to the sibling which is preceding that particular one. Okay, this way you can use preceding as well as following in order to identify the elements. Okay, now suppose if I want to go to this parent of this particular element, then I can simply give parent. See that these two siblings have this as the parent, so it just went to the parent. Okay, so this way you can go to the parent. And if suppose if I give following without sibling, then what happens? It will just go to the all the following elements, right? It will go to, you can see 1 of 96, it will go to all the following elements. Similar way, if you give preceding, it will go to all the preceding elements. Okay, similar way, I can just suppose if I want to use this one and I want to go to the child of this particular one. How can I do that? I will just copy this class. So in order to do that, I will just copy this class name. Okay, I'm copying this class name, and then what I will do, I will give child. Okay, after scope resolution div. See, it came to the child, and there are one of two of them, because anywhere else also it will be repeating. Same class and same child will be there. That's why it is like. And you can give index if you want to go to the first one alone. See, and if you want to go to the second one, you can go to the second one alone. Okay, this way you can go to whichever one you want to. I hope this is now clear to you, how access works and how XPath works. Okay, now I would like to give you some tips. Okay, these are some tips that I would like to give you while using XPath. Like, first thing is, instead of using any tag name, you can also give star. So everywhere time you use input, div and all those things, right? Instead of that, you can use star. Star means it will go to all the tags. So again, we are not giving a proper reference, means it will go to every tag and it will search for the element. So we can give star. So we'll just go to our browser screen, and if I give here star instead of div, then also it will identify. See, then also it will identify without any problem. Okay. The second thing is, like, instead of attribute, then you can give at star. At star means instead of attribute name, you can give at star, so it will go to any attribute in the node. So instead of class here, I can simply mention at star. See, then also it will come. Okay, then you can replace parent scope resolution with double dot. Okay, you can have two dots and you can replace parent scope resolution. So for example, if I want to go to this div's parent, how I will do that? I will just come here. I can just give parent, okay, and div, right? It came to the parent. I can give parent, instead of parent, I can give double dots, then it will come to the parent. See, it came to the parent. I don't have to use parent and scope resolution. I can simply I can give two dots and it will come to the parent. Okay, next thing is, like, you can replace text bracket with dot. So now what we will do is, like, we will go to forgotten account. Okay, you can see this is the element. Okay, now what we will do is, like, we will construct the XPath for this one. So then we are having text. Okay, text equals forgotten account, right? Okay, now instead of text and bracket, what you can do is, like, you can simply put dot, then also it will identify. Okay, understood? So I hope with this example you might have got some tips as well in order to identify the XPaths. In our next video, we will cover regarding weights. It is very important to learn weights in automation. So we will cover that in our next video. Stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click on the like button.